As men, we can become lost, our spark goes, we often feel down, we often feel a little bit depressed, and we often feel anxious. Now, if you think about it, that is actually a recipe of disaster. That's going to bring you feeling guilt, shame, annoyance, frustration, all right, which is where you start to really suffer in life. Now, if you don't do anything about it, you will stay there. Now, the annoying thing is we are not taught how to go from that negative state into a positive state. Yes, we consume on social media, but what do we actually do to implement it on a daily basis? Because we're not taught this at school. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can go from down, depressed, anxious, and lost in life, all right, to £1 million in 31 days. Now, you won't be making £1 million. Well, you might make £1 million in 31 days, but the reason it says this is because this is exactly what happened with one of my lot. This guy called Jake got in touch with me. He was broken, in a van, lost, had absolutely no idea what to do. He actually went to message me 10 times, but didn't. So we got to the point where anyway, his main goal was to be at peace, but we got him at peace. And ultimately what happened was he was at peace, and then everything from his life around that energy started to fall into place. Now, he reached £1 million in 31 days, which is incredible. Started with me on the 17th of November. It is now the 17th of December, okay? Had the call with him this morning, and I'm doing this video. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because it's coming to the end of the year, and I want you to have some hope of what you can actually achieve in 31 days. Now, I will do a step-by-step process of how we actually done this, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff out there where it'll just be information. I actually want you to be able to take action, all right, and actually get the outcomes that you want. Now, it's crazy. I used to throw whiteboards at teachers, and now I'm using one to teach. All right, there we go. So the first step that he had to do was he had to acknowledge, all right, he had to acknowledge that he was actually suffering, okay? And then he actually had to acknowledge that he needed help. So the first thing is acknowledge, all right? And then next step. Now, his next step was to try and do it on his own, okay? He was trying to do everything by himself, thought that he could do the habits, do the podcast, do the books, you know, like we all fall into. But ultimately, that just ended up in not being consistent, all right? So then what happens? That adds to the guilt and shame. And then ultimately, you just end up more pissed off. Okay, then back at square one. Now, he reached out to me, sent me a big, long paragraph. And the moment I get these paragraphs, all right, I just literally say, let's jump on a call straight away, because there is a version of you, that is an old version of you, okay, that needs to die. Now, what happens is we suffer, and when we suffer, we tend to have the same habits and thought process, belief and fear that got us there. So the moment that you have a thought that you need to change, you know you should do something about it, message someone, watch something. But that voice in your head gets you to avoid it, gets you to go into fear. Nothing is going to work. You know, why is someone else going to be able to help you? What are they going to give you that's different? Yada, yada, yada. Now, one of the biggest turning points for me was when I realized Kobe Bryant had a coach, Tony Robbins has a coach, and all of the top performers have a coach. Now, it's okay to get guidance. When you want to learn how to drive a car, you go to a driving instructor, okay? If you break your leg, you go to a leg specialist at the hospital to get it fixed. This is all we need to do in life, okay? Simple. He just needed to go to someone that's done what he needed to do, and he got there quickly in 31 days. Now, the reason I say about the old version is because speed is what the old version of you hates. Now, I bring the speed, I take action straight away because I know we have to kill that inner voice and that inner demon. So when he reached out to me, okay, so he got to the stage where he tried to do it on his own. He then booked in a consultation, okay? I then add the speed, which then creates momentum. We need so much momentum when it comes to change. Now, I'm not telling you to reach out to me or anything, but when you have an idea that you want to change, you need speed. You need action on that straight away, because that voice will come in, plant the seeds of doubt, plant the fear, plant the worry, plant the uncertainty, and all what will happen is you will end up back at square one. So we need to acknowledge is the first one, and then take the right action. Now, the next step was the consultation. Okay, we had a consultation. That was on, so you actually started on the 17th of November. So yeah, he started early November, and we had a call like 5 days later, right? So that's November. So what happened is he had the consultation, and on that we need to clarify and identify. Now, the reason we need clarity and identifying the problem is because he will be telling a version of himself that it's 10, 15, 20 different things that's causing the problems, when in fact it's not. It's one. Now, or two in his case actually. So his one was the family and work. Now, these linked up because work was going bad. It then had an impact on the family. Now, the family were on eggshells around him, right? Because imagine he's coming home from work, stressed, burnt out, worried, in fear. And then all of a sudden, the daughter would do something and then he'd snap. The missus would do something and then he would snap, or something would happen and then he would just lose himself. But it's not because it's anything to do with them. It's because he's took on so much by the time he's left the house in the morning till the evening that he would then take it out on the family, because it's just an easy option to be able to do, right? But then he just had enough. Decision fatigue at the end of the day, short fuse. We've all been there, right? Family and work, eggshells. Now, the eggshells was because work had dried up. Now, he hadn't hired in 2 years. He had payments on loans because he had a problem. Now, where he's operating from fear, okay, fear leads to control, right? So once we control, we feel like we're controlling the situation from fear, it actually leads to bad decisions. That then led to him trying to solve the problem with finances, okay? So he's not even thinking straight. He's operating from fear. There's no certainty from his decisions. So he's literally operating from a sinking ship. So you would have seen online, energy attracts energy, you know, what you put out is what you get back, all of them types of nonsense, the positive stuff that we see online, but unfortunately is actually true. So if he's operating from fear, there's only one thing that's happening, okay? More things to be fearful are gonna happen. So finances got worse, all right? We had a call, when we had the consultation, I think it was like 250 grand that he owed, and he had payments due. And I sat there, and it was the first time ever I sat on a call and I was like, got my work cut out here. But I took it head on, okay? Because we can do, be, and have anything we want. We just need the right process. I'll be honest with you, self-development isn't hard. It isn't something you need to be stuck into for ages. It is a process that you need to just go through, learn, take the right action, okay? And ultimately the outcome comes. And I'm going to talk you through it. So where are we going? Right, so we've had the problem, cool, we've got the problem, the finances, we're getting worse, and then ultimately that led to more fear, which then led to the family on eggshells, and more money drying up, and more work drying up. So, as you can see, it is just one big chaotic circle. Now, the reason why it's one chaotic circle is because there's no new in here. There is no new information coming in to break the loop. It's all the same habits. So if he has nothing new coming in, no new information, no new help, no new accountability, no new anything, he's just operating from fear. This loop just goes on and on and on and on. And it will, that's it. That's why every day feels the same. And all that happens is you end up more burnt out. All right. So he's fucked. He's absolutely done. This is most people. This is most people's problem. They are going round and round and round in circles. Okay? Family, finances, burnt out, stress, fear, control, worry, doubt. the voice in your head, sleepless nights, not going to the gym, not eating the right food, not thinking the right way, yada, 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 yada. Now, all of that, as you can imagine, is absolutely battering his self-esteem. Now, his self-esteem is on the floor. Okay, so he's just operating from, I remember seeing him in the car, shoulders so tense, face so fearful, eyes just remember what mine were like when I was massively burnt out and everything was falling away from me. And he was just broken. And he'd talk about the situation and I could see so much fear, so much fear, so much fear, so much fear, right? And it was heartbreaking because I care so much more than you actually know, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm welling up. I'm like, I just want this guy happy. And I said to him, what do you want? He said, I just want to be at peace. So I was like, brilliant, let's get it. So we then got the clarity, okay, in the family, and we identified the problem, okay, and then I got what it is that he wanted. So that's the consultation. Now we go into week 1. And by the way, this is actually how easy it is to be able to change. You know, a lot of people try and complicate everything and keep everything coming. But the reason I'm doing these YouTube videos is because I actually just want to give everything away. I've been in prayer recently, spending a lot of time with God about what direction I want to be able to go. And ultimately, I just want to help as many people as I possibly can. So I'm just going to give you as much information. Disclaimer, not the smartest, not the most... I'm not the best at articulating certain things. There's a lot of coaches out there that are probably more knowledgeable. But for me, it's relatability. Everything my clients have gone through, I've gone through myself, and I actually have the real life experience. And this is just me now. I just want to be able to give everything away for you to be able to understand. Now, week 1. Week 1. Now, the exciting thing actually was from our consultation call, he actually had 30 grand new work come in. Now, the reason he had new work come in on that was because I had to challenge his beliefs. On the call, he came to me and it was just chaos. It was just absolutely nuts, right? Absolutely nuts. And I had to challenge all of the beliefs that he was currently going through. So, but this, but this, but this, but this, but this, but this, but this. But it's not true. None of it is true. It was just a story that he was making up in his head, operating from fear. So once I started to challenge all of these beliefs, right, I got to the point where he came off the call, he then went about his day, and positive things started to happen because he had the right information going into his brain, which ultimately led to him feeling better, thinking a little bit more clearly, and ultimately having hope. The reason he had hope was because, bro, I've been where you are. I've got to the point where all the finances are there, everything's going amazing, bang, all comes crashing, and you lose it all. Events, scenarios, situations happen and it left me broken, burnt out and stressed. I've actually got a photo of me looking about 60 years of age, whole world falling apart, relationship fell apart. And yeah, it was one of the toughest experiences of my life. But this is why I was able to sit opposite him and actually tell him that everything was going to be all right because I managed to be able to do it. Now, disclaimer, I didn't make £1 million in 31 days. I've never made £1 million. Yet. All right, so week 1 was great because ultimately on the call, what I choose to try and do and pray and hope and create is a quick win. Now, the reason why I want a quick win is because I want him to trust me, but most importantly, I want him to believe in himself again, okay? Now, the reason why he needs to believe in himself again is because we need the energy bang on. Now, we identified the problem, okay? So think about it this way. He's sitting in a van, broken, reached out to me. We've identified the problem and we've got clarity on what it is that he wants to do to be able to get out of this whole process with me. So we got a quick win, builds momentum. He starts to trust me, starts to believe in himself. His energy changes. Now, what we've done there is create beauty. Absolutely beautiful because straight away there's some cash flow coming back into the business. It didn't solve all the problems. But he was like, wow, this is actually working for me, right? Now, we've got the quick win. Next step is action, okay? So I need the right action from him, okay? Which leads to structure, okay? This structure is going to get him to go from What did he want? His life was chaos and confused. So structure in the morning will bring him certainty. Now, the reason why structure, oh, pen's broke. The reasons why structure is so important, sorry, mad, no edits. Now, the reason why structure and routine is so important is because he's waking up chaotic and confused. So how can you expect positive things from the world and amazing things the universe to send you, because ultimately the vibration that you're putting out into the universe is exactly the type of stuff that you're going to be able to bring back into your life. So if he's operating from chaos and confusion, okay, he's not going to be going about his day in a certain headspace. He's not going to go out in certainty. He's constantly going to be leaving the house in lack. We don't want to be in lack, okay? Because again, if you want loads of things or you need things to happen, it's a needy energy. We create nothing from there. The best way to describe it is if you was in a river and all the water was just coming down on a mad one, right? You wouldn't swim up it, would you? No, you'd just chill and go with the flow. This is exactly the same as life. So I needed to get him into certainty and flow state. Now, how do we do that? Instead of waking up every single day in fear, doubt, and worry, I gave him a 4 to 5 checklist that he needed to do in the morning. Okay? Sit in silence was one of them. So you can do this. Silence. All right? I wanted him to visualize a moment. So for him, it was hugging his wife. Hug wife. Okay? That put him into a certain frequency. Okay? Then I wanted him to journal, to get his day sorted, to get rid of the confusion. All right? And then what was it? Exercise. There we go. Okay, these are wins. Cool. Now the important thing is there's no phone. We don't want any phone from the moment he wakes up until the moment he has finished his whole process. Now the reason being is because his cortisol levels are going to be sky high in the morning. Stress response is triggered, right? For the rest of the day if you start seeing things on social media. Now, seeing stuff on social media first thing in the morning will get you to do what? What you don't have. Now, you're just pissed off even more, all right? Because everyone says, oh, social media doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Stop lying. If you see a Lamborghini and you don't have a Lamborghini, it's annoying. If you see someone have more than you, it's going to annoy you. If you start seeing everything in the morning that you don't currently have, you're reminding yourself that you don't have it, which means you want it, which means you get pissed off, frustrated, annoyed, and then ultimately them feelings are going to magnify and they're going to get worse throughout the day through situations, through people, through emails, through text. Cool. So this was the first thing. Now, the next bit of action was beautiful, okay? Because what he's doing is he's setting so many wins. So he's leaving the house motivated. He's leaving the house consistent. He had to check in with me, which then made sure that he'd done it because I was holding him accountable and I would chase him up if he didn't. So this journey got him into a good flow state. Now, at the end of the day, he had to have another routine. The reason why he had to have another routine was because we needed him to go to bed and self-reflect on all of the wins that he actually had that day. Otherwise, we wake up and we go at 100 miles an hour and we don't actually self-reflect. So your brain isn't even acknowledging all the amazing things that you have done, which means how is your self-esteem going to rise if you're never acknowledging it, okay? This is why no matter what he done in the morning, brushed his teeth, made his bed, whatever it was, I wanted him to acknowledge in the evening what he had done, because then that starts to build his self-esteem up. Remember, this might sound simple to you, but these are people that are being battered down left, right, and center. If this is you being battered down left, right, and center, you have a massive mountain to climb. But ultimately, we got to get the first step. We got to take that first step. And this is the first step. This was laying the foundations. This was moving his emotional state. And this was getting him to start collecting the wins. So in the evening was the journal again, to self-reflect. Okay. Oh, actually in the morning, sorry, forgot about this. After he silenced, he had a book. So I'm going to have to do a detour. When changing your life, identify what it is that you need to change and then make sure you're learning the right things in order to be able to make progress. You do not want to be reading or consuming the wrong information when you're not actually struggling in that area. For example, a client of mine was reading the 5 a.m. Club. He'd been waking up at 5 a.m. for the last 2 years because he'd been working with me. I was like, why on earth have you started reading this? And he's like, well, yeah, I'm reading it. It just sounds exactly like you. Brother, come on, brother. Come on, son. Right? You do not want to read books that you don't need to read. It's just a dopamine hit. You're consuming pointless information, okay? So I said to him, your biggest problem at the moment is your belief around money. Start reading The Psychology of Money, okay? This was the same with Jake. Jake was struggling with controlling everything. Remember I said, when we identified the problem, he was trying to control everything from fear. So the book that he got was The Surrender Experiment, okay, from Michael A. Singer. All right. I won't go into too much detail because I know the attention spans are fried. But basically, Michael Singer had a massive company. Okay, he started to get a lot of indictments. He had to go to court, yada, yada, yada. And most importantly, he teaches you about you are not the thoughts that come in, okay, and learning how to surrender in the process and not operating from fear. Anyway, positive outcome. If you're struggling with your thoughts and fear and control, please read The Surrender Experiment. So, into the evening routine, okay? Self-reflect, family time, no phone, and he read the book again. Cool. So, this is actually, let's say 40 minutes in the evening or an hour or whatever, /60, cool. And the morning was 40 minutes, not including exercise. All right, so bosh. Now he had kids, all the excuses that people might say, oh, I don't have time. He just got up earlier because he wanted it, simple. All right, but you can include kids in a morning routine. The whole point of a morning routine is to put you into a joyful state, but I'll do another video on that. So there we are, self-reflect, family time, no phone, book. Solid day. We've kept it tight. He's woke up early. He's taken care of business. Throughout the day, anything that comes at him, we keep him in flow state because he started to respond to situations instead of react. This is why my clients are more than able to reach out to me. I help them with the situation and then you're moving through life. So he's kept the morning nice and tight and positive. Great mindset. Moves throughout the day. Situations happened. He doesn't react. He responds, okay? How would the future version of him living his dream life react in this situation? How would they think? How would they feel? Another step. Finishes the day, self-reflects on everything I've just spoke about, collects the wins. This is how you keep the mind and the process tight. Remember, I told him to delete his social media. I told him to remember, if we want to renew the mind, how can we have so many negative things going in it? So, also disclaimer, I talk really fast. I do need to slow down. So maybe you might have to be the only person that doesn't speed up videos, but actually slows it down to hear me. It's because I get so excited about this stuff. Cool. So that was week one. So week one, we've created 30 grand's worth of new work and he's been able to build a solid routine and structure. Yeah. Anything else happen? I don't think so. Maybe I think he got a contract for 2 more jobs worth 50 grand, but I can't remember. But anyway, I'm going to do all the tally up for you in a minute, just so you get it. Now, week one. His problem, when he was sitting in the van with me, was he wasn't consistent. So going into week 2, I made sure that he knew that he was. Okay? So we broke that belief. Because he always said that he would start something, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. And then ultimately just loops back there, all right? So I just want you to remember that when you start something and then you stop, you start, you stop, you're actually creating a behavior, okay? The only way that we actually make progress is by starting something and making sure we're always keeping consistent. How does he keep consistent? Reaching out to me or understanding if some days don't actually go the best. Doesn't mean you go back to square one. It just means you had a bad day, that you didn't get everything done that you needed to be able to do. That's how you can constantly stay consistent by not being so hard on yourself thinking every day's got to be perfect. It's not going to. You're going to wake up late. You're going to get annoyed. You're going to have so many situations, but it's like, how quickly can I get back to the baseline of getting into flow. So, week 2, consistency, and I wanted to sort out his family. Now, I didn't give him this task in the first week because I didn't want to. The first week is structure and routine. The second week, okay, is self-acceptance. And the task was you had to sit with the family, all right? And he had to ask them 3 questions. He had to ask them, no, it wasn't 3. How many was it? Can't remember, it's on the homework. Anyway, he had to sit down basically and say, where am I showing up for you? Where am I not showing up for you? Blank sheet of paper. And ultimately, because in week 1, we've got all the consistency going, he's in a much better headspace to be able to receive this. But I always make sure we focus on the family first. I need a loving, abundant household. I need the missus happy. I need the kids happy. I need you leaving the house in an amazing headspace, because no matter what happens throughout the day, yeah, you're going to come home and love is there. You're not going to dread going home. You're not going to leave the house pissed off because you mucked up the night before by screaming or shouting. I need that house nice and loving, Mr. Lover, right? So, brownie point to the missus as well. So, he asked, where is he showing up? Where's good? And where's bad? All right, so he wanted to know, where is he doing good? Where is he doing bad? Then ultimately we're getting a blueprint. They're telling him how amazing he is, but then they're also telling him where he's bad. Now, next one was, what more? Okay, so the kids I think the kids said, just spend more time with me, stop shouting, stop moaning, stop being so stressed. Bless them, it's always the same from every kid, all right? And the missus was, I think it's pretty much exactly the same, just mirrored the children, I think it was. Cool, so he had to sit with the fam. Now he's getting a blueprint of how to keep them happy, what more he needs to do. So then he can stop thinking about how much he's mucking up at home and focus on him. And ultimately he's been given the blueprint on 2 bits of paper, so he just follows it. Perfect. So this was a nice, short, consistent process. Now, he actually got a phone call. Well, he gave a phone call to a guy that, won't say his name, begins with A. Now, the reason why is because in week 1, he told me that after a call with me, his intuition told him to make a certain phone call. Now, the reason why his intuition told him to do that was why? Because he was thinking more clearly. I needed him, and I make this so important on the first call, okay? How would the future version of you that has all of the problems solved, that is living that dream life, how would he think, how would he feel, how would he act? Now, because of the structure, because of the routine, because he's waking up disciplined, because he's keeping promises to himself, because his self-esteem is starting to rise, because he's no longer breaking all of the promises to himself and constantly letting himself down, he's thinking clearer. Now, he hasn't thought about this guy for ages. But what happened? Because he sits in silence in the morning, what he was praying for finally had time to come in. Have you ever noticed where you're in the shower or where you're just sitting there chilling out and an idea comes in, all right? But the reason why we are missing out on so many ideas coming in is because our brain is so stimulated. Okay? As men, I have came up with this saying probably when I was in the shower. We are overstimulated and we are underappreciated. We are overstimulated because of social media. He was scrolling, going through all of the apps, doing all that bollocks. And he was overstimulated, felt underappreciated, misery. That is just the hamster wheel of misery, I'll call it. So this is where the phone call was made. That phone call led to 50K, I think. I think that was 50K. So there you go, you're at 80K so far, right? The next 2 are big ones, so it's cool. So he got a phone call which led to 2 jobs. I think it was something to do with the electricians and to cut the schools or something. Bang, 50K, done. So he then started to become a frequency that matches the opportunities, because he wasn't sitting there self-loathing in a victim mindset anymore. He was just actually doing how he was meant to. So week 2 was about realizing he is actually consistent and sorting the family life out. And again, we had another win. So we are winning, and we are sorting out family life. I'll leave that 80K there, just for a bit of fun. Now remember, he was getting loads of problems. He was getting loads of letters. He was getting loads of complaints and just stuff coming at him. So we're going into week 3. What I did miss out on week 2 actually was he had letters coming at, but where he didn't operate from a state of being angry, he actually responded as the future version of him. Then payments actually got cut in half, or more than half. I think it was a 30 grand payment was needed, and he actually got it down to 7K, but then there was £7,000 solicitor's fee. So it went to 14K. So yeah, it was half. Solicitors, man, joke. So then after that, he had a few more things coming in. I think another one went down to 7 grand, which then left another payment, I think, that was owed. But I don't even think is a problem anymore. I think that one has been sorted. But the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because how you respond to situations is going to have a massive impact. He responded the right way. He then went about his day, even though it was a negative letter. Then he got some good news that the money had been halved that he owed. All right. He basically just got himself into a load of debt within the business and was just trying to get out of it, but he couldn't. But little things like that will start happening. Little wins will start happening. It might not be you get loads of money in the bank, all right, but there's good news. You start attracting good news. You know, when you're in a bad mood, you're worried about money, you get parking tickets, or you get nail in a tiler, or whatever it is. All right, week 3. This is the exciting stuff. Week 3, all right. So we started to master emotions. Now, how did we do this? How did we do this? How did we do this? Week 3, he actually told me he was at peace. Best thing he's done. All right, invaluable. Now, this isn't about me. I love my job, but I do not allow positive words from other people come to me and affect my ego, because quite frankly, if I have to rely on that for validation, okay, when I can just go to God for it, I'm a sinking ship. If I don't get validation throughout the day, I'm not going to be in a good mood. So this is why I make a version of me that I'm absolutely obsessed with in a positive way. And I know who I am. So I don't need to be told. Okay, I don't need to be told I'm amazing. I know that I show up as best as I possibly can. I still have my faults. I still have my problems. I still have a lot I need to solve in life. Okay. So yeah, that's just a bit for you. If you rely on everyone else for validation, you're always going to be relying on other people throughout your days to make you happy. So get rid of the people pleasing, in other words. Right, so he said he was at peace. Best thing he's done, all right, individually. But the thing is, he doesn't realise that this was him. This is him. He's the best thing. Sorting himself out was the best thing that he done, okay? The invaluable of my coaching process isn't actually anything to do with me. It's invaluable that he cares about himself that much. He's at peace, okay? So we have now created him. Beautiful thing happened week 3. I got a message. He got offered a bit of work, I'm going to say February, something like that. Bearing in mind, he hasn't hired for 2 years. All right. So he's at peace. The best thing he has done, invaluable. He then got a bit of work, and the contract was 300 grand, which puts us at 380. All right. Now, the reason why this is amazing is because he became the frequency that could have it. I truly believe deep in my core that we will not be given something that will destroy us. Because if he's not in the right headspace, if he had this massive job, it's a £15 million house or something that he's working on, all right, and he's basically got a plumbing business or an electrician, one of the two, both the same, right? They're not, but you know what I mean. He became the frequency for it. Guys rung him out of the blue. No coincidence that it's been week 3 of when his frequency shifted, and he's been waiting for this all year. 300 grand contract coming. I'm a massive believer in this, because he would have been repelling it. he would have been like, oh, that contract's coming, but subconsciously he would have been blocking it. That's going to be more work. That's going to be more hiring. That's going to be more problems, more stress. Remember, when you're stressed, you do not want more stress. Okay, so 300K. Again, obviously, as you can imagine, he's just fucking absolutely flying now. He's just absolutely flying. We've got a process. Remember, he's still hitting his structure and routine. All right, so he's still collecting a massive self-esteem because of all the little wins that he's actually sticking to on a daily basis. Insane, insane. I'm sat there like, yes, boy, let's get it. I was, do you know what? Maybe I need to start asking for shares in the business. Considering there was no new work coming in, he had to lay people off. Now he's flying. Jake, if you're watching this, I'm joking, bro. I would not do that. I love you, but if you do want to do it, then you know where I'm at, boy. So cool, 380. So week 3 was this. Now he didn't get a home. Did he get a home? Yes, he did. He had to create a new identity. Now this is the juicy bit. Okay, so he had to create a new identity. Why did he have to create a new identity? Because we got a good bit of momentum. But we know that his problem and his fault was when he starts to get a bit consistent, he can self-sabotage. This is why I don't give so much at the start, because I know there's going to be a break in pattern, a break in behavior around week 3. All right, so we're staying on week 3. We're staying on week 3, people. We're staying on week 3. Week 3, bang. So, new identity, all right? This was the homework. Okay, so he had to watch Batman. The reason why he had to watch Batman was because Bruce Wayne became Batman because of his trauma. We think that because we go through bad things, okay, we're battered, we're done, and nothing positive is going to be able to happen. It's a lie. Bruce Wayne, little boy, saw his parents killed, all right? Then all of a sudden, he's used that anger, he's used that frustration, gone through life, and created Batman. Now, before he created Batman, he had to create a version of him to be Batman. He had to get crystal clear. This is what my clients have to do. How would Batman think? How would he feel? How would he act? How would he be? Would he keep the promises? Would he be able to fight? Would he be fit? Would he let himself down? Would he speak negatively of himself? Would he feel like he's unstoppable? Would he feel like he's the most attractive human ever? Would he feel powerful? Would he feel incredible? Would he feel safe? All of these amazing words that we don't actually focus on. So he watched Batman, took notes, all right, and basically we got rid of the shit show of him and created a 10.0. So he started to think different, he started to feel different, he started to act different. And most importantly, what I made sure from week 1 was that the moment he visualized that scene in his morning routine, he kept that frequency throughout the day. The reason why I needed him to keep that frequency throughout the day and have positive self-talk was because it would lead to the positive actions and outcomes that did happen. So his homework was Batman, Bruce Wayne, all right, went from shit show to 10.0, and then every time he leaves the house, he has this identity that he moves through the world. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, okay, that actually dives into this a lot more. Just want to give you a little bit of a heads up. There is so much more to this coaching process, but I just wanted to give you a short video and a cut down of what it is that he actually done in order to be able to get there. Okay, so week 3 was that, new identity. So week 4 was just the one that's just gone. So week 4 was all about progress. How has the progress gone so far? Now, he actually came on the call and threw my whole coaching session out of the window because he did, in fact, tell me that we reached the £1 million mark. Now, we had a call on week 3, which actually totaled at 500K, because I remember that he had 120 grand for a block of flats. All right, so he actually hit the 500K with that. Now, I said to him, Jake, watch what happens. By Christmas, we will hit £1 million. And he was like, why would we? No, we can't. It's not going to happen. I was like, we will get £1 million from agreed work. I have no limitations in my mind. Whenever my clients come to me and say they want to be able to do something, I just tell them it can be done. Okay, so when I knew that we started to get momentum with contracts coming in and, you know, especially the 30 grand in the first couple of weeks, I was like, bang, we can get £1 million. He was like, no, I reckon January, February. I was like, no, mate, no, we will hit that so much quicker. So what actually happened was I told him £1 million. He was like, no, I reckon January, February. So then he comes onto the call on week 4. I had a big session planned out, but ultimately it turned into a progression session because he came on, he's like, mate, you'll never guess what. He was like, we reached £1 million. I got a phone call. We got the okay for the guy that he rung beginning with A at the start, rung him again and said, listen, I want to give you all of this work. I've just been given the heads up on all of it. Jake was like, congratulations. And then all of a sudden the guy was like, nah, mate, you're getting all of the plumbing work and electrician work or whatever it is for you to be able to do. So £1 million. Bearing in mind, this is on the 17th, all right, of December, we had this call. All right, exactly 1 month, we hit £1 million. He got to the stage where he was sat in a van. Remember, 31 days ago, he was sat in a van, all right, broken. No money in the bank, literally no money in the bank. He didn't even have the money to pay me for the service. I actually said to him, look, just put a little deposit down, and I backed him that much. I backed myself that much that I said, look, just make sure the payment's done by the end of the process, all right? But in week 2, he was like, I need you for life. So I'm now actually a part of the business, which is sick. So in 31 days, he went from being in a van, broken, all right, to about £1 million. Now, as I said before, there is so much to it, but I think the battery's running low on this. This is my first YouTube video, so to do with this type of whiteboard stuff. But I wanted to just give everyone hope that 31 days ago, he was sat in a van, broken. Okay, we sorted out his family life, we sorted out his mindset, we got him clear on what it is that he wanted, and we got him clear on the problems. Now, there was times throughout the whole process, it hasn't been easy. He's still been having problems. But when them problems recur, he responds. I think in the first week, actually, he messaged me panicking. He called me. Okay, I reframed the situation. Framed the situation. Told him what he didn't need to hear. All right, told him what he had to hear. All right, moved him away from the negative headspace. All right, wasn't in a negative headspace anymore. All right, carried on his day good. Went home happy. Okay, because he started to realize that everything he's stressing about is actually out of his control. Everything he's trying to control, he cannot control. What happens is we have problems in life. We panic. Now, if you don't do anything at panic, and you sit there and that one thought leads to 5, 10, 15, 20 thoughts, you end up in a ball of anxiety and worry and stress. You have to take action. You have to regulate your nervous system when these things happen. So when life events do actually happen to you, how would the version of you with all of the problems solved, living this amazing life, think, feel, act? He would just breathe and just know that he's going to deal with that problem in the best possible headspace. That's what I've started to do. When things pop up or I don't like what I see or it isn't going my way, I just breathe. And I don't ignore it, I acknowledge it, and then how can I create a solution from this, okay? What you constantly focus on in a negative headspace and put so much resistance on you is actually just going to persist. Persist? Yeah, persist. So I hope you enjoyed this video, right? So this was just hope for you that in 31 days this can happen, all right? And 31 days from now, where are you going to be? If you're someone that is currently stuck in a negative headspace, a little bit similar to Jake, feel free to just click the link below, book in a call with me. I've worked with some of the most famous music artists, TV personalities, DJs, you name it, lawyers, CEOs, directors, normal people, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, laborers, single mums, single dads. And the reason I say that is because no matter what level people are in life, people still go through the struggles of mental health battles and not knowing how to get out of it. My whole point of my process is to get you out of that rut, but I don't just want you to be someone that sits there being mediocre. I want you to have the mindset that you can go on and achieve anything you possibly want. So remember, this guy wanted peace. He wanted peace from the world, but he was at war with himself. We created peace, and ultimately his whole world changed. And now he's having the most beautiful Christmas. And in January, he will have 150 grand cash collected. Right, he actually sold a watch as well, so I'm pretty sure next year he's going to buy another one of them. He had to sell it to get some payments. But he then will have 150 grand cash collected. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you feel like it. Feel free to subscribe or don't, whatever. But I'm here to just give as much value as I possibly can. Big love. Million movement, baby.